Imagine a 6-year-old boy, full of curiosity, learning to ride his bike, still believing in Father Christmas, yet allegedly caught in a storm of adult grievances. According to palace insiders, Meghan Markle supposedly made Prince George a focal point in her reasoning for stepping back from royal life. A child who had no say in centuries-old succession rules allegedly became a symbol in a dispute he never chose to be part of. Sources claim Meghan was frustrated by the attention George received at events, allegedly seeing his presence as overshadowing her own children. It's said she interpreted George's prominent role in official gatherings as an affront, even as she navigated her own place within the royal family. The idea that a 6-year-old could be blamed for such adult decisions struck palace staff as completely unprecedented. One insider reportedly described the claims as beyond comprehension, highlighting how unusual this perspective appeared even to seasoned royal observers. The alleged grievances reportedly date back to 2019, shortly after Archie's birth. According to insiders, Meghan allegedly tracked every event George attended, noting photos, headlines, and moments that seemed to celebrate his position in the line of succession. Where George received attention, insiders claim Meghan saw a deliberate diminishment of her own children. This narrative, if accurate, appears to have grown over time, transforming simple family dynamics into a broader complaint against royal protocol itself. One famous incident that insiders point to as a turning point involved a bridesmaid's dress fitting for Princess Charlotte before Meghan and Harry's wedding. Reports suggest that tensions over the dress were interpreted by Meghan as proof of preferential treatment for the Cambridge children. Sources describe her allegedly viewing Charlotte and George not as nieces and nephews, but as obstacles in her path, evidence of institutional bias that extended to her own family. What began as a minor dispute over wedding preparations allegedly became a lens through which every interaction with the Cambridge children was later filtered. Insiders suggest Meghan allegedly framed George's position at events, his security detail, and even his media coverage as evidence that the monarchy favored him over her children. Allegedly, she discussed these issues not as fleeting frustrations, but with a calculated mindset that could be deployed publicly in interviews or documentaries. Staff reportedly watched in disbelief as a child became central to an adult narrative, a symbol representing structural bias against her family. Royal commentators reportedly described this alleged mindset as deeply troubling. One analyst called it a dangerous conflation of childhood innocence with adult conflict, while another referred to it as an unprecedented use of a child as evidence in an adult argument. According to these sources, Meghan allegedly repeated the same points in multiple conversations, creating what some insiders call a talking point pattern centered on George. The boy, allegedly, was never at fault, but became a proxy for broader family grievances. Sources also indicate that Harry attempted to defend Meghan, arguing that her concerns were misunderstood or misinterpreted. However, Prince William reportedly reacted with a firm sense of personal betrayal. The alleged comments about George, his own son, reportedly crossed a boundary that shifted the family dynamic irreversibly. Insiders suggest William communicated to senior royals that trust had been broken and that reconciliation would require fundamental changes that, at the time, seemed unlikely. Kate, too, reportedly responded with quiet but resolute action. Sources claim she decided the relationship with the Sussexes could no longer continue as it had, and she allegedly filtered her interactions through a protective lens for her children. The alleged statements about George were not just dismissed, they triggered a reevaluation of how the royal family would handle interactions, public appearances, and even internal communications involving the children. The alleged strategy, according to insiders, wasn't spontaneous frustration, but a calculated effort. Every comment, every observation allegedly was measured against how it could later fit into a broader narrative of perceived injustice. George allegedly became the living symbol of an institution that Meghan reportedly felt diminished her own family. The palace reportedly implemented internal measures to protect the children, creating an invisible barrier to ensure they were not drawn into ongoing disputes. Staff members reportedly described this as a necessary but extraordinary step to shield the young royals from adult conflicts. Public reaction, once the allegations surfaced, was swift. Social media users, royal watchers, and commentators expressed disbelief and, in many cases, outrage at the idea of a child being implicated in adult grievances. Even supporters of Meghan struggled to reconcile the narrative with the image of her advocating for her own children. Polling data allegedly shifted in perception, with sympathy declining once the reports about George emerged. Industry insiders also reportedly grew concerned. Hollywood executives, sponsors, and media partners, accustomed to handling controversy, became cautious about association with the Sussex brand. Allegedly targeting a child in public or private narratives is reportedly seen as a different category of risk, one that could have long-term repercussions for partnerships and projects. Netflix, Spotify, and other collaborators allegedly began reviewing planned content with heightened scrutiny to avoid potential backlash or legal issues. Sources suggest that the alleged use of George as a symbol of grievance represents not just a personal dispute, but a strategic choice with professional consequences. Insiders reportedly claim that any content referencing him, directly or indirectly, is now heavily scrutinized. Legal advisors allegedly caution that even seemingly minor mentions could result in claims of defamation or breach of privacy, given the sensitive nature of involving a minor. Ultimately, according to palace sources, these allegations have created a permanent rift within the royal family. Prince George, innocent of any wrongdoing, allegedly became a central figure in a narrative that challenged familial bonds, trust, and loyalty. While Harry and Meghan navigate their public life, insiders suggest the family at home must constantly balance protection of the children with managing adult disputes that, if publicized, could create further tension. Whether or not these claims are fully accurate, palace observers reportedly agree on one point: the alleged targeting of a child represents an extraordinary departure from previous royal disputes. The alleged logic, if true, suggests that Meghan saw George's position not as a neutral fact of succession, but as a personal slight against her family, a viewpoint that insiders claim has deeply impacted family dynamics and trust. The fallout from these allegations reportedly didn't stop at family walls. Insiders claim the ripple effects reached every level of the monarchy, from palace staff to the Queen herself. Elizabeth, who had witnessed decades of royal drama, reportedly reacted with quiet sadness at the idea that a child, blameless and unaware, could be drawn into adult disputes. Sources suggest she remarked that George was innocent in all of this, highlighting the generational awareness that even complex grievances should never involve children. Palace aides allegedly scrambled to manage both perception and reality. New protocols reportedly limited discussions about the Cambridge children in Sussex-related meetings. Security teams, communications staff, and senior aides allegedly implemented measures to prevent inadvertent leaks or misrepresentation of the children in media projects. According to insiders, the goal was not just privacy, it was protection from becoming symbols in adult conflicts. Staff members reportedly described the measures as both unprecedented and necessary, emphasizing the lengths the palace went to shield George and Charlotte from being weaponized in narratives outside their control. The alleged consequences for Meghan, on the other hand, reportedly extended into her public persona. Sources suggest that once word of these claims spread, support from previously loyal audiences shifted. Longtime advocates for the Sussexes reportedly expressed discomfort with the idea of a child being implicated in adult grievances, some even publicly distancing themselves. Social media sentiment, polling data, and commentary reportedly reflected a decline in approval ratings, particularly in circles that had previously defended Meghan against criticism of the royal institution. Entertainment executives, too, allegedly viewed the situation through a business lens. Hollywood insiders reportedly cited concern about potential liability and brand risk. Collaborators were allegedly instructed to review any content referencing George, Charlotte, or Louis with extreme care. A child caught in a public narrative, insiders reportedly noted, could transform a celebrity project into a legal and reputational hazard. Sources claim that both Netflix and Spotify, which had invested in Sussex-related content, expressed reservations, indicating the allegations had shifted how projects were assessed at every level. Within the royal family, insiders reportedly described the rift as unbridgeable at the moment. William and Kate's approach, sources say, was firm but silent, protecting their children while avoiding public drama. Their response, according to sources, was calculated and precise. Distance where necessary, silence where appropriate, and safeguards wherever possible. Meanwhile, Harry reportedly found himself navigating a complex position, caught between loyalty to his wife and allegiance to his brother. Sources suggest that tensions remain high, with communications limited to essential matters and interactions with George and Charlotte filtered carefully to avoid misunderstandings. Royal analysts reportedly point out that the alleged focus on George is unlike anything previously seen. While past controversies involved criticism of institutions, media coverage, or adult family members, using a child as a symbol of systemic injustice is reportedly unprecedented. One expert reportedly described it as a line never crossed in modern monarchy, emphasizing the extraordinary nature of the claims and the unprecedented palace response. Despite the gravity of the allegations, insiders reportedly stress that much remains unseen by the public. Private communications, internal discussions, and security protocols have, according to sources, been designed to maintain normalcy for the children while managing adult disputes behind closed doors. Staff members allegedly describe the situation as walking a tightrope, balancing transparency with protection and ensuring that George, Charlotte, and Louis can continue childhoods free from adult conflicts. For Meghan, insiders reportedly suggest that the long-term implications are significant, allegedly targeting a child in private and, potentially in narrative projects, could follow her career for years. Legal advisors, according to sources, are now scrutinizing every planned statement or media project for content that might be interpreted as critical of the Cambridge children. Hollywood professionals reportedly consider this a unique challenge, managing celebrity narratives while accounting for the sensitivity of minors allegedly involved. The public conversation, meanwhile, continues to evolve. Alleged comments about George sparked debates across social platforms, royal commentary channels, and opinion pieces worldwide. Many argue that any adult dispute should be confined to those involved, leaving children entirely out of the equation. Polling data reportedly indicate that audiences, regardless of prior allegiance to Meghan and Harry, overwhelmingly view using a child in such disputes as unacceptable. Insiders point out that this consensus underscores why palace precautions have been so stringent. Looking ahead, sources suggest the implications could extend even further. Prince George, as a future monarch, will one day have access to the records, communications, and context surrounding this period. Every alleged grievance, discussion, and incident could become part of the historical record he inherits. Insiders reportedly emphasize that this adds a layer of lasting significance to the claims, highlighting the extraordinary nature of allegedly using a child as a measure of adult grievances. Ultimately, sources say the story illustrates a profound lesson about boundaries and the role of children in adult conflicts. Allegedly, Meghan saw George not as a child to be nurtured or celebrated, but as a symbol of structural inequity, a proxy for her family's position. Palace insiders reportedly stressed that such an approach, whether accurate or not, fundamentally disrupted trust and altered relationships within one of the world's most visible families. In the end, the alleged targeting of George reportedly left the royal family with a singular focus, ensuring that their children remain protected from narratives they cannot control. It represents an unprecedented intersection of family, fame, and legacy, showing how adult conflicts can, intentionally or not, involve the most vulnerable. While Meghan and Harry continue their life in California, the palace reportedly remains vigilant, quietly fortifying the boundaries that protect George and Charlotte, keeping childhood separate from public controversies, and preparing for a future where these events will be seen in historical perspective. One thing remains clear, according to sources. A 6-year-old boy, innocent and unaware, allegedly gleamed the axis around which one family conflict pivoted. And for the palace, the message is unambiguous. Children are to be protected, not used as symbols in disputes, no matter the adult grievances at play.